The chief technical officer leaned forward across the shiny glass desk, his tone ice-cold and precise. "This agreement means you won't touch a line of code for 1 full year." I didn't blink. I simply gave a small smile. He believed he had finished me. A year later, standing in that courtroom, I listened as the judge read one sentence from a newly passed regulation. That single line was enough. Their attorney froze, face drained of all color, then slowly turned toward me. His whisper cracked, barely audible. She was aware. She knew the entire time. Back then, I was their top developer, the architect behind their core platform, the system that turned into their money machine. Days merged with nights as I stitched algorithms into a product that built their empire. I assumed loyalty mattered. Then came the so-called promotion. They sat across from me with champagne grins, congratulated me, and slid a contract toward me. Sure, there was a raise, but hidden on page 17 was a snare. A 12-month non-compete clause. I laughed it off, trusted them, and signed without thinking twice. That was the blunder. 3 weeks later, the betrayal took shape. I walked in to discover my login removed, my email gone, my blueprints reassigned under someone else's identity. Years of work, deleted like backspace. That afternoon, the tech chief called me in, a vicious smirk carved on his face. "You'll bounce back, just not in this field anytime soon," he said, tapping the very contract. His contract. My signature felt like a hot iron pressed to my chest. Shock doesn't last. It hardens into focus. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I went home, poured a glass of water, reopened that document and dissected it line by line, clause by clause. Something shifted inside me. I stopped being the target. I became the strategist. Contracts were code. And all code has loopholes. First lesson, patience. Employment laws weren't static, they were war zones. Courts evolved. Legislations shifted. Precedents changed like software patches. I watched. I researched. While they thrived on my creation, I gathered laws like weapons. Nights on legal forums. Dawn in dusty law libraries. My laptop transformed into a blade, not to build systems, but to dismantle theirs. Second lesson, silence. I didn't confront. Didn't threaten. I disappeared. To them, I was done for. Just another server girl pulling late shifts in a cafe. Became invisible by design. Every coffee I served was cover. Every polite grin, camouflage. Because while they mocked, I studied, then came the moment. A whisper on a legal bulletin. A proposed amendment in local labor regulation. One clause on page 203. Any non-compete exceeding 6 months is null and void in this state. My heart sped up. The cage they thought I couldn't escape had just been outlawed. I didn't rush. That would be amateur. I waited, for the bill to pass, settle, and vanish beneath headlines. Then I built. Quietly. Not code, a case. Lawyers who remembered.
Me favors. Ex-coworkers they underpaid. Backers who carried old grudges. I constructed it the way I build systems, flawless. 12 months finished. The day came, inside a courtroom smelling of old files and tension. My father would have called it karmic. The same company that labeled me discarded now forced to face my presence. The tech chief walked in arrogant. Their lawyer held the contract like a sword. She signed. She's bound. He thundered. I stayed silent. Ready. At the cue, I glanced at my attorney. Like clicking a function. She stood, pulled out the statute. The room stiffened. The judge leaned forward slightly. And with one simple ruling, everything collapsed. The non-compete stated is invalid under current state legislation. Silence. Then the CTO's expression shattered, anger leaking through. Their lawyer trembled, papers shaking. He looked at me, voice cracked, she knew. All this time, she knew. Yes. I did. The rest didn't need noise. Investors bolted once my lawsuit became public. Records of stolen credit. Forged approvals. Royalties withheld. Shareholders pulled funding. The board crumbled. I walked out not just cleared, but holding rights they never imagined I'd reclaim. My inventions, my system, my name, legally returned. Sometimes I recall that moment. His smirk across the glass. You won't write a line of code for a year. He was right. I didn't. Instead, I rewrote something far greater. I rewrote their fate.